And today we are reviewing the Pace.4 by Aventon. This neat little bike has a ton of tech packed into it. It's got a lot of cool features: satellite tracking, remote rear wheel locking, and torque and cadence. So stick around and find out some more. The nitty gritty, the specs, what's under the hood. I'm going to start with the motor. It's a 500 watt motor that peaks at 864 watts. So what that means is a higher watt motor is going to provide more torque. It'll provide better acceleration, and it also handles hills a lot better. So, plan your ride. If you're looking for a bike that's going to conquer some hills, a higher watt motor is what you're looking for. Or if you're towing, if you're going to pack on a ton of weight, if you're a camper, you want to have more watts. The peak wattage is the battery feeding more power to the motor, so it outputs more watts. It's great. It gives you more wattage on a lower watt model. However, it is going to consume more power. So keep that in mind. You don't want a bike that is going to be overperforming like this all the time, or else you're not going to get great range. Still, it's nice that this bike offers peak wattage, so if you need to get up a hill real quick, or you're going to the beach and you got a bunch of chairs and coolers on the back, you'll make it there. The battery is a 36 volt 20 amp. 36 volt is just the operating voltage, and then your amp hours is like a gas tank. A higher amp hour provides more juice. It's a bigger gas tank. So 36 volt 20 amp is a pretty big battery. They estimate 70 miles range, and I can tell you from my experience, customers are getting that. People are able to go 50, 60 miles before they're running out of juice, which is nice. A lot of these 36 volt bikes don't perform that well, but I can tell you this one does. The sensor type. There's two types of sensors, and the Aventon Pace.4 now has both of them. And what I mean by that is when it first came out, it was only torque. Torque and cadence. Torque will assist you based on how hard you're pedaling. Pedal really hard, you get more assistance. Pedal less, you get less assistance. So the bike is going to really work with you. It's a lot more of a comfortable, controlled assistance. Cadence, on the other hand, is going to assist you to a set speed. This bike has 4 levels of assistance: Eco, Sport, Turbo, and Boost. The way that will kind of work is Eco is going to be 8 miles an hour. It doesn't matter if I'm pedaling really hard or pedaling really soft, I'm going to go 8 miles an hour. And then that'll increase to Boost is probably going to be your max speed, so 20 miles an hour or 28 if you have Class 3 unlocked. Cadence is comfortable. It's kind of an outdated sensor. It's something to get used to. A lot of people don't like cadence because it's very bursty, just gets you right up to that speed. But everybody likes different things. Cadence is going to really allow you to lean back, sit back, pedal softly, pedal as hard, and just keep a constant speed. The types of brakes. This has Tektro brakes, which I have to say I love. As a mechanic, they're easy to work on, which means your bike is going to get in and out of my shop real quick. They're hydraulic, which means you can really put a lot of pressure on these brakes and stop on a dime. You also get a lot less maintenance. So these pads are automatically going to place themselves on that rotor and equally wear, which is going to allow them to last a lot longer. This bike only comes with seat post suspension, and it's a piston seat post. What that means is there's a lot of different seat post suspension. Piston isn't my favorite, but it is going to help with those bumps and humps. So as you're going over curbs, or if you hit a root, it's not going to beat you up. It's going to absorb a lot of that momentum or that movement. This has a wheel size of 27.5 by 2 inch. A lot of bikes are going with that right now. Reason being is it's not a fat tire, but it's not a skinny tire. So you get the comfort, the natural suspension, the stability of a fatter tire, but you don't get the drag of a a real fat tire, like a 26 by 4 inch. Then the rear rack doesn't come with the bike, but if you do opt in to get that, holds up to 55 pounds. So throw in your backpack, some camera gear, what have you, is nice. You can put kid seats on there, but be mindful of that weight limit. This starts as a Class 2. Now, your local legislator is going to change. Here in Virginia, a Class 2 and Class 3 e-bikes are the same as a regular bike. Class 2 is going to be 20 miles an hour pedal assist, 20 miles an hour throttle. Class 3 is 20 miles an hour throttle, 28 pedal assist. And that changes per state, so make sure to look up where you're from. But this bike has both Class 2 and Class 3. You can change that speed on the app, and I'll show you that here shortly. This bike has a lot of tech, and I'm going to go into that on the app. Kind of the main features is that rear wheel lock, and that's going to prevent that motor from moving. And you can see me moving this here. You can lock this remotely or on the pin pad on your handlebar. It's nice, you know, you stop at 7-Eleven, you didn't bring a lock with you, you can lock your bike and not really have to worry about people taking it, or at least rolling off with it. This also has that satellite tracking. That is really going to allow you to keep track of where your bike is. If people steal it, get sticky fingers. Another thing I like it for is the geofencing. With our rentals, we geofence them so they can't go down certain streets that I know aren't going to be safe. So if they go to that street, a little error code will show up and they'll know to turn back around. This also has Ride Tune, and Ride Tune is going to allow you to change the individual pedal assist levels and how they operate. I'm going to go more in depth in that here in a moment, but a lot of tech on this guy. You also have your keyless battery, which as a mechanic, man, I love. I can't tell you how many people lose their locks or their keys, and then I have to drill out that lock and put a new assembly in. With that keyless battery removal, it makes it easy. The battery also has a handle here on the top, so it's easy to move. Putting this battery back in is easy also. You're going to put the very bottom half in first and swivel this up into the frame. It's easy, there's nothing to lose, and they're easy to charge. This battery, I do recommend removing from the bike to charge, just because of the location. They don't have any side ports on either side of the frame for you to plug in. You do have to plug in on the bottom, and it's just a weird angle. The satellite tracking is paid. It's $2 a month or $20 a year. Your first year, however, is free. So when you get the bike, don't worry about it, but do keep in mind if you keep that tracking, it's going to cost a couple bucks. The bike can come with quite a few accessories. I mentioned that rear rack. It can come with fenders, and then you can also have rear view mirrors on left and right. On the website, you can buy bar end mirrors. However, in my opinion, those things stink. I like to have the ones that mount to the handlebars and sweep over my shoulders. Those tend to not be as shaky, and you also can get a really good clear view directly behind you. All right, and that's the nitty gritty. There's a whole lot to this bike. I'm going to go over some riding here. You'll probably see some of those clips already. And then I'm also going to talk about the app function here right now. All right, let's talk about the app. Here at the top, you can see the name. This is one of my rental bikes, so Rental AB. The picture, the riding time, the odometer. You've got your power on and off. Your lock and unlock, that's going to change if that rear wheel is locked. You can remotely turn on your front and rear lights using that light button. The 100% is going to be the battery percentage. If you click on that, it'll show you your state of charge, how many times it's been charged, which is the charge cycle, the voltage and the current, and then the battery lock. That's where you can remotely unlock your battery. We're going to go more settings. Screen brightness, auto power off. Some of this stuff is kind of self-explanatory, so I'm going to skip over it. Ride tune is where you can change how the pedal assist levels operate. So you've got Eco, Sport, and Turbo, and you can see each one of those is increasing in torque, assistance, and pedal responsiveness. Your torque is just going to be how much torque it outputs, so how quickly you accelerate. Your assistance is how much you have to pedal to get that assistance. And then the pedal responsiveness is how soon it will assist you when you start pedaling. You can see as we change that, the experience changes, making it more or less aggressive on one or the other sides. You also have the assistance and then pedal responsiveness. It's pretty easy to factory reset here in the top right, so I totally recommend playing with that. You can remotely change your assistance if those buttons on the handlebar don't work, but I recommend using them there. The boost mode, you can just turn that on and off. The boost mode will give you 110 or 115% assistance right off the bat, but it only lasts for a minute, and then it has a 5-minute cooldown. The sensor switch is going to allow you to switch from torque to cadence. I kind of explained this earlier. Cadence does not get the same amount of range. So if you are looking for range, keep it in torque. If you're looking for just tooting around the neighborhood, cadence doesn't hurt. Tracking your bike is just going to be your GPS on the bike. You can see I'm here in Williamsburg. That's here at the shop. Speed limit and metric. You can increase that assistance. You have to agree to a speed upgrade disclosure. That's just saying in different states, there's different laws, which I really recommend looking into. This goes up to 28, and it also goes down to, I think, about 12 miles an hour. The alarm, I recommend turning that off. If your bike is off and you move it, or someone else moves it, it makes a lot of sound. It's very annoying. I mean, it is a great deterrent, but if it's sitting around your garage and you touch it, it's going to annoy you. Lock when powered off, this is usually default on, and this can trip some people up. I've had folks call me and say, hey, what's going on with my bike? If you turn it off, it'll lock it, but if you don't unlock it when you turn it on, it stays locked. So I recommend turning that off and just manually turning on and off that rear wheel lock. Security verification is just to deter other people not using your bike. I really don't recommend using this. It's not worth really getting into. Unusual activities, just how responsive the alarm is. Your bike password. The geofencing. I think I've mentioned that I've geofenced some of my bikes here. Update firmware. Remember how I said earlier that this bike came out with torque and didn't have cadence? Well, they came out with an update recently, and now it has cadence. Stuff like this really helps to reduce your bike from becoming obsolete in the future. They come out with updates, so you don't have to buy a new bike in 2 years to get all the new cool stuff. Backup and restore is if you want to back up your files. The IoT is going to be that paid trial, or that paid service I told you about. You can see how many days I have left. Then you've got transport mode. That just shuts it down and makes it so the alarm and stuff doesn't go off. And then about your bike, this shows you your serial number, when you purchased it, so on and so forth. And then we can also go to record. This is going to be recording your rides, which is what happens when you hit the go button. That's just going to start recording your ride and keep track of your speed, so on and so forth. You can kind of keep a roster of your rides. I really like that. Discover is going to be other people around you, or on the Aventon app, asking questions or showing the rides. And then on the very bottom right, the Me profile, they've got medals for you to earn. What I really like as a mechanic is the diagnostics feature. This will show you if there's problems. It also shows you error codes. This really makes it easy for us mechanics to find out what's going on. And you can do this at home too. So really a cool feature. and then registering your bike, support, some other fun things there, optimize trajectory. The app has a lot of function. However, you gotta have a smartphone and it's gotta be near the bike. It's Bluetooth, so if you are away from your bike, you won't be able to do 90% of what is on the app. But yeah, that's the app. Now, let me show you riding posture and how I look on this bike. All right, next I want to talk about riding posture. This bike isn't necessarily a sit back cruising bike. This bike I've got right now is a large. Comes with that seat post suspension, so it does raise it up a smidge. I'm about 5'9", and you can see at the very base, when I'm sitting on that seat, my feet are kind of flat-footed, which is not what you want. What I look for is tiptoes of the ball of your foot. So as you're pedaling, you're getting good extension. You don't want your knees to be at a 90 degree or more, as it is right now, at the very top position. And you also don't want at the very bottom for your knees to lock out. You want somewhere in between. The bike does come with a quick release skewer here on the side. So you pull that skewer and you can raise as need be. So I'm going to raise that probably about 2 inches and make sure that saddle is nice and straight. Get that there, hop up on the bike, and I'm sitting down. I can feel that seat post suspension, nice and cushy. This is where I like to be on my tiptoes. I would even raise this a smidge more just so I get really good extension. You can see that's at the top, at the highest point. It is 90 degrees, but this is still going to be comfortable. And then at the lowest point, my knees aren't buckling, so it's just before where they'd lock out. This is going to be comfortable for me. You can see, however, my riding posture. I'm over the handlebars. My arms are a little more stretched out. There is some weight on my hands, on my palms. This bike does have the ergonomic grips, which are going to help distribute that weight, but there still is, it's not the most comfortable feel in my opinion. I've ridden this bike long distance, and after a little while, I can feel it in my shoulders, I can feel it in my elbows. Everybody's built different, but this is one of those bikes I try and get folks to ride, because when you're sitting upright like this, not a care in the world. When you're like this for a little while, hunched over, you'll start to feel it. There is some adjustability in the handlebar. You can bring this back, so it brings you up a little bit more, or bring it forward, but when you bring it forward, you'll be extending or reaching a little bit further. It does not come with an adjustable handlebar stem, so this cannot raise, it cannot go back. There's just the adjustability on the handlebar where it connects to the stem. The seat post, being a piston seat post suspension, does have adjustability here on the very bottom. It's a 6mm. So you can adjust that by unscrewing it so you've got more play, or tightening it up so you've got less play. With seat post suspension, you don't want it to smack you as it comes back up, but you also don't want it to bottom out as you're going over bumps and humps. So it's good to bring a 6mm with you, which comes in your kit box when you go on these rides. So let's do a little more riding, and then we will catch up at the expert opinion. Expert's opinion has come. The Pace.4 is by Aventon, and I love Aventon. They've been around since 2012. They're Canadian based. They're phenomenal to work with. I love them as a dealer. I can get bikes sometimes within 3 days, and they're responsive. Their tech support is also phenomenal, really. You can talk to somebody and get an answer same day, which not a lot of these brands offer. I'm starting a rating system here, and it's 0 out of 5 mustaches. So keeping up with the theme here, and we're going to rate it on comfort, tech, performance, and value. So comfort to begin with, I'd say 3 out of 5. It's not a very comfortable ride. Out of the box, it's relatively rigid. There's no front fork suspension. The seat post does help with some bumps and humps, but as I'm going over curbs and over roots, unlevel concrete, I can feel them, and it's a little uncomfortable. The position's also funky. It's a weird position. It's not all the way forward. It's not all the way back. So can't say I love it. It does come with suspension, which is nice, does level out some things, but in the grand scheme of things, not my most comfortable bike. It's not what I'm going to go to. In terms of tech, it's 5 out of 5, man. This thing is chock full of tech. I don't think there's anything that rivals it right now. Satellite tracking, you've got rear wheel lock, you have adjustable pedal assist through the app, you have over-the-air updates, which is key in my opinion, keeps your bike from being obsolete. This thing has it all. It's the best. Most of these bikes have Apple Find My, which is great, but if you don't have an Apple phone, it doesn't do you any good. Or, one of the biggest things, Apple Find My requires other Apple phones to be nearby. So if someone brings it out into the boondocks, you're not going to have any tracking on that Apple Find My bike. Performance, I'd say 3 out of 5. That throttle is relatively responsive, great for starting and stopping. It is pretty toned down, so when you hit that throttle, it takes a moment to get any speed, which does kind of pull it back. Not very comfortable taking turns or starting at a stoplight. The tech, though, does bring this up. Same with the range. Being able to curate that ride is phenomenal. I've played with it a little bit, and it's very cool. The range, we rent these bikes. I've had people go 70 miles on a charge, which on most bikes, that estimated range is not real. It's not realistic. So the fact that you are getting 70 miles range on these bikes is phenomenal. Last but not least is value. So I'm rating this 4 out of 5 right now. The bike currently retails for $17.99. It comes with only the seat post suspension. You can get the fenders, the rear rack on the side, which I do recommend getting that rear rack at the minimum, just so you can bring stuff with you. Fenders, if you want it, if you go over a lot of gravel, if you ride a lot of wet roads, you're going to want fenders, but you don't need them, to be honest. What is holding this back is going to be that comfort. I'm not going to pick this bike when I go for a long ride. It's just not very comfortable. Hurts my shoulders, hurts my arms, and that's what brings it down to a 4 out of 5. The tech is phenomenal. If you want something that you can adapt with, a bike that's going to change over time, give you more features, this is it. I'm excited to see what Aventon comes out with. That bike has only been out for a few months, and they've already come out with a huge amount of updates. So it'll be cool to see what happens in the future. With that being said, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a comment. Have you ridden this bike yet? Have you considered this? I also really recommend clicking the link where it says find a dealer. Find a dealer near you and test ride the bike. Work with someone local, so if something goes wrong, you've got a place you can go to get help. I also recommend having someone else build it. If you haven't built an electric bike before, not the bike to start on. But with that being said, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys next time.